What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for watching another episode. My name's Ryan.
My name's Eric.
And I'm Adam.
And I'm Doug.
And you're watching Moral Dilemma. And yes, we have a very, very special guest, Doug Sandy. Everyone give him a round of applause, but not us.
All the way
not
from,
us. Not us.
The way from Maryland.
Maryland. Because you recently moved here, right?
Yeah.
So now you're back in
big old Peaburg.
Yep. Peaburg. The best place on earth. But yeah, we have Doug Sandy with us. Really excited for this. You're going to learn.
He is really excited for this.
I'm actually nervous because Doug, I don't know Doug super well, but what I do know is through Facebook and through some of the retreats. I know three main things about Doug. One is that he is, without a doubt, the biggest Star Wars historian in the world. I'd say that. Number two is that I know that he likes Coldplay because I saw some live concert footage.
And I thought about wearing my Coldplay shirt.
You should have. That would have been sick. I'm also a big Coldplay fan. And you've seen him live during, what was that show? What was the tour called?
Head Full of Dreams.
Head Full of Dreams show.
Yeah.
That's with like light up wristbands and everything. See, I wanted to go to that.
And I actually went twice.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And the third thing I know about Doug is that he can do a killer Tasmanian devil impersonation. And I think he should do it. I think he should do it.
Oh my, I might be a little rusty.
All right, let's see it. Let's go.
I love how he ends it.
All right, that's the episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Good night, everybody.
That's all we're here for. But I know Eric and Adam both know Doug way more. And Eric, you and Doug go way back.
Yeah, way.
When did you guys first meet?
It was probably like 95.
I was negative 2 years old.
I remember.
We won't get into age here.
I remember I was still in high school, and remember Dale came to our church and spoke at one of our youth-led services, and you came with him.
Yeah.
So that's technically when I met you, but I didn't really get to know you till really college.
We were on talking basis.
Oh, you were the secondary friends.
Yeah.
Jeff Cox's rating of friends probably like an E.
Well, what was interesting is Dale did have a big part in us connecting with a lot of different people. He was kind of like the tree that branched out to other people. And so he kind of brought a lot of people together. And so that was kind of cool because he if you know Dale, he was very much bold and spoke and and were very social. So it really
we'll get him on the podcast next.
Yeah.
Get him.
We're just gonna have everyone on the podcast.
Well, he was only about an hour away from where Dale lives, right?
Yeah, when I was in Cumberland, right.
Sweet. So you guys go way back.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things
I feel
together.
honored to be on this podcast.
I will tell you that Doug feels a little like I typecast him because we did a lot of dramas and stuff.
We all got typecast.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to tell him what you feel like I typecast you as? Or?
Well, I was always typecasted as the nerd. but
I don't see it. I don't get it.
Dale was always typecasted as the thug.
Yeah.
Eric was always typecasted as Satan. So,
you got the better end of everything.
I was like, it's not that bad.
Eric was always Satan.
And actually, Doug had a role that he played in that he actually knocked me over and I got a concussion.
I didn't mean to. I really didn't.
Oh my God.
I was a little off balance or something. And it wasn't really, like you said, it wasn't really his fault, but he kind of pushed me a little bit.
I got a little too much into it.
And it was like a concrete floor.
Sounds like a very passionate performance.
Yeah. I don't remember the drama afterwards, but
Eric has
I remember the whole week after that.
Revenge of the Nerds, and they beat up Satan that day.
That's what it sounds like. Eric has a great Satan scream, though.
So I think he was taking a little frustration out on me.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
being typecast.
What you get for typecasting me?
Who's the nerd?
He was fed up. Oh, that's great. But yeah, super excited for this episode.
Yeah.
Really excited. We're going to kick it off. Let's talk about something we haven't really talked about much, I don't think. It's retro
not
gaming.
Too much. I mean, we talk about games every once in a while.
We talk about gaming all the time, but nothing before, 90s and before.
And the reason why we chose
nothing
this
before
topic
you were born.
Yeah, this is before my time.
Yeah, what year were you born?
97.
97.
2000.
Oh, okay.
So I'm kind of a 90s kid. I kind of grew up in the 2000s though, so
Yeah.
and I'm sure that is reflected on my personality. I'm just a jerk.
But there are a lot of games out there that we, like me and Doug, kind of appreciate and value because it's partly our childhood, growing up as a teenager and seeing some of these games. And it is amazing how much games have changed. But there is some nostalgia to the old. And it is kind of interesting because you see a lot of these retro, like I have the retro PlayStation. And then there's the Nintendo.
Like remasters and stuff.
Yeah, remasters. And I think you kind of stick to kind of some of the old core. What systems do you have right now?
I mean, I still have like my original NES, which doesn't work anymore, and my Super NES, which doesn't work anymore. But I have these things on my desktop, on my computer.
Yeah,
but I still have I still have my PS1, my PS2, and they do work. But
see, I think
I need to get you hooked up. What else I was going to say? Have you ever seen like I heard of Retro Pi? It's like a credit card computer, and like I have a little case that's a Nintendo case for it. So it looks like a Super Nintendo, or not a Super Nintendo, a Nintendo. And so you can actually have emulators on it. So you can have all kinds of different games on it. So it's kind of neat because I spent like less than $50 for it.
And you have all these games.
And I have all these emulators on there. I mean, you can do that on a computer, but it's kind of neat to have it hooked up to a TV and stuff. Sure. So I'll have to
see. That's the only reason why I've been accustomed to retro games because I've had emulators and stuff. I've had them on my phone before.
Yeah.
I've had them on my computer. The Nintendo Switch now has like a big catalog of like re-released NES and SNES games that are really cool. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But I know for a fact Eric's got a lot of stuff collected.
Yeah, I got like
we've been working on his house and he opened this like tote full of just old games and like systems and stuff.
My old Nintendo. It still works, so you can come and bring some of your games sometime. I'm not going to let you have
it. I walked into the storage room. He started. I mean, it's like a treasure chest. I mean, you guys are old Sega. I mean, just all the stuff that you never thought existed or were still around, and it's like, man, this is if you rob this house, this is where you go. This room right here. Break into this room, and you're golden.
Got some value in those things.
Yeah, because like I have this one thing that's kind of cool. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I have a Sega and Sega CD, but I have this Nomad, which is like a Sega Genesis, but it's a portable Sega Genesis. So
those are pretty rare, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. I got it when it was on sale because they were trying to get rid of them because nobody was really buying it.
It's like the OG handheld device, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of the original. I mean, it was after like Game Boy, but this was like a full screen. And Sega had a Game Gear that I didn't really take much part in. But anyhow, it's kind of fun to hold on to some of that stuff. Kind of. And I remember crying, not really crying.
What?
I remember being upset when my Super Nintendo died. You're like, man. And it was always kind of interesting because the Super Nintendos, if you ever had them, a lot of them would turn yellow.
Oh, yeah.
Like the kind of pigment that they used
kind of plastic
in the plastic.
The regular Nintendos did too, right?
Yeah. They
kind of turned yellow.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same plastic.
Super Nintendo was notoriously bad for it.
Yeah.
So what were some of your favorite games that you kind of...
So I was always a big Mario guy.
Yeah.
I loved Mario. So I played that a lot. I also liked Castlevania.
Oh, yeah.
And I even like...
That's one that I haven't gotten into.
Up to the PS1 version and the PS2 Castlevanias I really like.
Symphony of the Nights, right? It was one of the best PlayStation.
It's actually, I think if you watch any of those top 10 videos on YouTube, it's usually number one. Yeah, Symphony of the Night.
That's crazy.
But so I've always liked those games. I love Mega Man. Basically platforming games.
Okay.
You know, to jump and stomp and shoot.
Things that Eric can't do in
I can't.
Things I can't do in real life.
Well, I can't even do it in a video game.
Eric's not a platformer guy.
Even in like the PlayStation 4 platforms, he can't jump.
It's interesting because I did play Super Mario Brothers and did all of those, and I beat all those. But I always had an issue.
When you get the 3D in there.
The 3D, exactly. 3D, it just throws me off.
2D, just up and down. 3D
Destiny 2, don't count on me to jump. Right?
Yeah.
We've done raids before.
6-hour raid turns into
let me get through this, but we're waiting on Pastor Eric to get done with this.
He just couldn't jump.
A normal 6-hour raid turns into about 10.
Yeah. He couldn't make it.
I thought Castlevania 4 for Super Nintendo was awesome.
That's a good game.
That's one of the I thought was one of the best Super Nintendo games.
Oh yeah.
Mega Man. Did you guys ever play Mega Man?
I played a little bit of Mega Man.
I played Mega Man X.
Now the cool thing about Mega Man is that each you could choose basically. Is this the way it is for all of them, that you could basically choose what levels you wanted to play first?
Yeah.
And then a lot of times it would give you an advantage in a certain level if you beat one to beat the next.
That's cool.
Because every time you beat a boss, you get that boss's ability.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So then
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to dig more into those games because I feel like I'd really like them.
Yeah, I mean it's probably a particular taste in some of these games, but they're
there's a lot of like obscure games too that are really good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
They made some really, really good games. They had some really terrible games.
Yeah.
You just can't get them.
Go and mention some of the ones that
the ones that were bad.
No, the ones that were real good.
As I said,
we don't care about the bad ones.
Blaster Master. You ever play that one?
That was a good game.
I love that game. I never beat it. I got to the last guy and I still couldn't beat it. That was really good. I'm trying to think what else was there. There's some actually that I've recently discovered. I can't think of the name of them now.
Yeah.
But just watching some of these videos, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go down to the
There was a game called Street Fighter 2021. I love that game, and it wasn't.
That comes out next year.
Well, that's true. But I think it was 2021. But it was kind of a platformer shooting game, but it wasn't like the Street Fighter that we know about.
Oh, really?
The fighting game. It was totally a different game. It was like in space, but it was a platformer, and you had a gun to shoot with. But I really loved that game, and it was one of those games that was kind of like a hidden treasure type thing.
Yeah.
And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did you ever play that game?
I heard that was really good one.
A really good game for. That was the amazing thing with the Nintendo. I thought there was so many games that you could. It just opened, because growing up, I was kind of used to Atari, and that was the big system that was out when I was a little kid. And they get Nintendo, and it was like, 10 times better than what you had for Atari.
That's so cool.
So, Now, did you ever play Sega Genesis or anything like that?
Just a little bit. I had a neighbor friend that had it, and I think the main game we played was like X-Men and Spider-Man.
Okay.
I think those are the only two games I really played on that.
Was it an X-Men 2 game that was really good that you could switch characters?
Yeah,
I think it was X-Men 2 was really good for that. And then I liked all the Streets of Rage. Of course, Sonic was a good game that I played a lot. But yeah, I was always a nerd as far as video games. Now, PlayStation, did you have a PlayStation?
Well, see, I always got the game systems like years after when I was out.
Me too, yeah.
I got like the PS1 like when I went away to seminary in 2000, 2002. But yeah, the PS1 I got like Final Fantasy was my main game.
Oh, yeah.
Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
With 9 being my favorite.
Yeah.
And then...
Oh, 9's your favorite? Well, that's a really good game. I liked it, too. Now, 7 was yours.
7
right?
for...
I like 7, too. I like all
favorite.
of them.
Did you play the remake?
Yeah, but... So, yeah, I played 7 before the remake, obviously. I actually played it twice before the remake, and then I bought the remake, got like 2/3 of the way through it, and then I was like, I just want to play the original again. So at this point, I played the original like 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I played it once on a PlayStation 1 emulator on my laptop, just because I wanted to like that vintage experience or whatever. Even vintage, it wasn't actually on a PlayStation. And then I played it the other 2 times on my Switch, like on the go, on my TV and stuff. And man, I loved it. It just blew my mind because I'd heard so much hype about Final Fantasy VII. I was like, oh, it's getting hyped because it's like really nostalgic for some people, but that is an incredible
story,
great story, and like characters that like are still huge. I mean, they remade the entire game, and I think the remake's still really good, but the original, just like the turn-based combat and stuff, they don't have that in the remake, and I really prefer that.
I think me and Doug would both agree. If you like 7, you should
9.
check out 9.
I think 9 also is remastered.
8 was kind of like a different take. It kind of older, more. The fantasy part in 9, I thought the story was good in 9 too. That I really liked.
Yeah, see, I'm a huge RPG fan.
Yeah,
and so all the like I'm not very accustomed to retro gaming. Like a lot of that stuff was way before my time. But I have gone back and played some of the big RPGs. Like I played Earthbound. Loved Earthbound. It's really good. But I think that was only released in Japanese on the actual consoles. But it became popular in the US after it got released on emulators and people like fancied translations and stuff of it.
Have you ever? I've never played them. I have them, but I've never went through them. But have you played Persona 5?
Yes. Oh,
is that really good?
Oh yeah, Persona 5 is incredible.
I know maybe that's not retro.
Yeah, it's definitely not retro, but
anyhow,
it's. But
really, I do
really
think the
game.
style is kind of retro in the way it's kind of.
I mean,
it's kind of anime.
It's definitely like a Japanese RPG. So But yeah, it's definitely not retro, but it does kind of throw back to like turn-based combat, things like that.
Adam has had a chance to. What were some of yours throwbacks?
Let it all out.
Well, I had growing up, I had a Nintendo and a Sega, and it wasn't ours, but we had a Super Nintendo. It was
that you stole.
No, I wish, but no. It was whoever my sister was dating at the time. He left it over there, so I always played. So Killer Instinct, I played on that all the time.
Oh yeah, yep.
And for the Nintendo, the game, it was so frustrating, but I have to put it down as something I like because I always try to play with Adventure Island.
Okay.
It was so frustrating, and I even comment on that like to the youth students because
what kind of game is that?
It's like you have a boomerang, you throw it, and
you're just going through levels.
Yeah, you go through levels. It's a platformer.
I always say that because it's so frustrating compared to like games nowadays because you have to go all the way. If you die, you start all the way back again.
Yeah.
There's no like
no checkpoints.
Now my sister beat the game like 3 times.
Yeah.
Me, I couldn't. I fought trying to get past level 2.
Yeah.
But I was really young. But that was like the very first game that I really like played a lot. But eventually, Killer Instinct and then Streets of Rage. I love Streets of Rage, and I can't.
I would say the second one, Streets of
That's
Rage
what
2,
I had
was the best.
too. Yeah, Axel. I was always Axel, but man, there's so many that I can't remember at all. Like I remember playing X-Men a lot. There's just so many. Sonic a lot. But then when I got to 64, that was my system.
Yeah.
So every game's 64.
GoldenEye.
Skateboarder Kids or something like that. I played
Star Fox?
Star Fox.
I've seen that at your house.
And here's the thing. Man, I had a Rush Hour 2. I played that game.
Rush Hour 2, there was a game?
Yeah, like it was racing. It was car. It was car.
That's back when the movie-based games were actually kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just I think it was called Rush Hour 2 or
not always though.
But I played that so much. But I think it was that one that I had rented a game back when Blockbuster's still up. I had rented a game.
Rest in peace.
And man, I think it was that one. And I had rented a Star Wars game, because you be the Jedi and fly the plane and stuff. It was so cool. And my mom took the game back, but she took the game that was in the console.
Oh, man.
But it wasn't that game. I had switched games. And so she took back one of my games, and I think it was the Rush Hour game. And so I kept Star Wars.
You're like, all right.
I think it was even I don't know. But I was like, oh, man, I'm really craving to play that game.
Mom and Dad got a bill for that later.
I don't think they even knew. I don't know. But so many, I won't name them all, but I loved so many Sega games.
Yeah.
That was it.
No, I didn't hear anybody say Street Fighter. Street Fighter was one of my favorite games. Like when it came out,
I rented it and I played it.
Oh man, I got so good at that game. I used to go to 7-Eleven when I was
Sonic
arcade.
Boom.
Yeah, played that all the time.
So were you guys ever big into like arcades, like going to arcades and stuff like that?
When I was a kid, before Nintendo came out, that was like the only way to get.
What was that experience like? Because that's something like obviously there's arcades now, but like people don't really.
It's nothing like it was back then.
Really,
It was really cool because in the mall they actually had a big, huge area for arcades.
I vaguely remember that.
Movie theaters before they built the new ones.
Okay,
so it was like a whole huge area that you could go see arcades and play arcades. I remember like the Turtles game was real popular.
Because you could play 4 people.
Yeah.
All 4. If you had 4 people play, and they could play. And the X-Men game. Remember the X-Men game?
Yeah.
And they had the big one where you could have 6 people.
Oh, that's crazy.
Now, I never played it with all 6
See,
players,
now I can't remember. And the last I remember, they have a Turtles game in the mall now. I don't know if it's the same retro one.
I don't know.
But it is 4 people.
It probably is then.
But I don't know if it's exactly the same. Maybe they remastered it.
I think they came out with 2. There was that one, and they came out with a sequel that was based on some of the
and those games actually they were altered and of course made for Super Nintendo or like Nintendo to kind of be like a a way for you to play them, but they didn't capture the same thing as the arcade at the time.
Have you guys seen those new things that they're making? The like cabinets of the old games.
I would
love
like
Walmart and stuff.
That's kind of like my dream.
Those are cool.
Actually, have one of those.
They're pretty pricey.
I'd like to,
they're $200, I think.
Kind of like make my own.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, like take the retro pie, put it in a cabinet.
Oh yeah, and then just
actually, I would.
When
like
I redo the
cool.
game room in here, I want to get one of those.
That'd be awesome.
sick. Yeah. No, because I think they recently put the X-Men game on there, and I think like they have the Ninja Turtles one too.
Okay, so I'm gonna get a little nerdy here.
We haven't been nerdy hard yet.
Let's say, where have you been?
DEFCON 5, people, get ready.
But I think the reason why I like nostalgia games, and even if I don't get a chance to play them, I just like to have them around just to capture the feel again.
Yeah.
Because, for me, growing up, I had different surgeries on my legs, so there was a lot of times I had to just sit in a couch somewhere, and TV kind of got boring.
Yeah.
So video games, I love that interaction. I love that, and some people have a hard time understanding. I think video games kind of get a bad rap, but I really enjoy the experience I've had with so many different games, like RPGs, even just some games that were kind of silly.
Just get lost in.
Just get lost in, have some fun.
You were the Halliday. From Ready Player One. You're the Halliday.
Enjoy the game. And so, that's why I think emulation is really good at in finding ways that you can capture those moments.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But, it's interesting to see what games will be, in the current generations now, like what games will really stick out as far as games that we really draw to. But I think story matters a lot of times, about the story, about like you mentioned Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 9. Those are really good.
See, the closest I got, I vaguely, I don't even know if I ever went in there. Remember how the arcade was in the mall, but the closest I had was Skate Country.
Oh yeah.
They had that little wall to wall. There's no room all the way around that room. Where
like that
arcade
anymore.
game. No, it was like 4 total in that giant room. But I remember that being lined. Now that was my like arcade experience. When we go to skate parties or something like that.
Put on the old rollerblades and try to stand on them and play arcade games.
Oh yeah, I could do it. But
It was easier to stand up in there that had carpet on the floor.
Yeah.
It was easier to stand up and play the game.
You didn't roll
Remember
roll
those Neo
around.
Geo machines where you'd have like 4 or 5 games that you could play in those, and they'd have all kinds of different kind of games.
That's cool.
And then when the Neo Geo came on the scene and you could actually buy one, it was like the cartridge was like $300 per game.
Really?
Wow.
It was like,
Dang.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I never had one.
See, I wish I could go back and experience the like arcade like thing, like as it was, because I've seen it in movies and stuff.
I think
and like
the problem is that the architecture and then of course how systems have advanced so much nowadays, it doesn't really make sense to the arcade's experience can't compete with that as much as they could.
Well, as much as you have to upkeep on them because they get wore out a lot. And then you're going to go from being a quarter to play to $2 to play one game. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, how much were they to play back in the day? Was it just a quarter?
Just a quarter.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
some of them now like 50 cents, 75 cents, $1.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, now it's all you do the card thing.
The best place to go to,
like
I know there's a retro place where I haven't been to in Vienna. Well, there's a place in Vienna that actually has. We should just
gaming,
go do that just for one night.
Let's do it after this.
Yeah. but I want to tell you that Nelsonville, that's movie 10. Fun Barn is probably the best arcade place
near our
around.
area.
Yeah, near
Do
us.
they have retro stuff there?
But it's a lot cooler stuff too.
No, there was one place that competed with the mall's arcade though, and that was Showbiz Pizza.
Oh yeah,
Showbiz Pizza.
It was awesome.
But see, another thing that happened with the arcades is they started making them more kidified.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want the teenagers coming and just hanging out.
Yeah.
The punks.
And that's one of the reasons they declined too, I think.
But see, that was like the whole point is you went there and you hung out.
Yeah.
You hung out at the arcade.
Because there's nothing else to do in Parkersburg.
But I feel
especially when we were kids.
Yeah. But even in movies and TV shows, that was what was built for, was to go hang out.
It's a hangout spot.
Kept you out of trouble, kept you off the streets, You walk outside, it's daylight, and kids are
it's like, the light.
Yeah, kids have changed though.
There's so many memories of me going to 7-Eleven near my house because they had a Street Fighter, and a couple of my friends would stay all night with me. We'd walk down like at 12 o'clock at night, and
Just
walk
play that
down there
game.
and play that game.
That's so cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, shoot. I think we've covered a lot of retro stuff.
Let's move on. Next hot topic.
This is what I'm excited about because this is Doug's.
We could spend an hour on this.
This is Doug's specialty.
As long as we get into some scripture at least a little bit today.
we might have to skip the leftovers.
Yeah. So we're gonna have another. We've had a lot of conversation about Star Wars on the show, but this is the one that matters. This is what it's all been building up to.
And if you don't like Star Wars, don't watch the show.
Yeah. Just get out of here.
Or listen to it.
Have an open mind. But yeah. So technically our topic is favorite Star Wars character, but I know Doug.
Well, he makes
you do
characters.
models and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. So like, what exactly do you do with that, and like, how did it start?
So really, it's a combination of two things I've always been interested in. One, Star Wars.
Yeah.
And the other thing being just miniatures.
Okay.
Like when I was a kid, I loved like train sets and train models and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So when I became an adult and they started renewing the Star Wars, of course they re-released the original movies and had the special editions, and then of course they went into the prequels, and so this whole line of Star Wars started again. And it started out like, I'm just going to buy a C-3PO and R2-D2, put on my desk in college, you know. And it's like, well, I think I'll buy this one. This one's cool. And then all of a sudden it just, okay, I'm a collector now. So when I was a kid, I would even set up my vintage figures and make like my own play sets.
Yeah.
Out of cardboard and shoe boxes and everything else. And so as the new stuff started coming out, I kept thinking, you know, I really want to make a detail, because I'm an artist too.
Yeah.
I've always been an artist. I've always been
awesome.
in art class and
That's
everything.
awesome.
So I was like, I want to make my own scenes and dioramas and things. And so my favorite scene out of all the movies was Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Because it had all the different aliens and creatures and things. And I was like, if I want to do it, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. I want to do it to scale. And so I did that. I did that when I had my first pastorate, which would have been 2007. I started, and I mean, I scoured the internet for all the pictures I could get, both movie shots and back behind the scenes and all that stuff, and did it as best I could to scale the whole Jabba's throne room setup.
That's crazy.
But then, you know, and actually, if you look at Star Wars, I think Star Wars probably has the most expansive number of figures that they've made on characters out of these movies. I mean, most people look at a figure and think, where was this at in the movie? Well, I was in the movie for about 2.5 seconds. And they made a figure based on it because that's what fans want. They love that kind of stuff. But there's still so many that I do. I was like, they're never going to make those figures. So that's when I started making my own figures too. And it's actually a really expensive hobby because there are some that do it kind of to make money. They'll make their figures and sell them on eBay or wherever. But it takes so much because sometimes you're taking 3 or 4 figures to take apart and cannibalize to make one figure.
That's crazy.
And it gets to be expensive, especially because now, after 20-some years of all these figures, to say, I really need that figure for that part, and it's on eBay for like $50.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've got to find some other way to do it. And now, thankfully, over the years, I've collected enough to where I don't have to do that. You know, I've got stuff in storage, and I always keep everything. I don't throw anything away. When I take a figure apart, I keep the leftover parts.
That's so cool.
So you have like a hand over here,
I do.
a belt over there.
I got them all organized too.
That's
so cool. A bucket of hand. You know, if someone goes to my house and they see,
just knock it over.
If they see these my boxes, like I say, legs and arms, will think I'm some kind of murderer. It's like, no, they're action figures, I promise.
Like a flashback from Toy Story.
Exactly.
Yes, he said.
But I've really enjoyed it. And for me, it's one of those things where, you know, if you have your particular hobby, it's the way you relax.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
the way you unwind. Now, for other people, they'd be like, how do you get that detail? I'm like, well, I paint with toothpicks. And they're like, oh my God. So I'm like, but for me,
that's just relaxing.
I'm too OCD and impatient. I can't do that.
That's what a lot of people say too. You know, it's like, it's whatever you like to do.
I can get that detail, but it has to be just right. And then I would just get frustrated when I can't get it just right. That would be my thing.
That's a challenge for me too, because I am OCD. And I like it. I try to get it as perfect as I can.
See, the closest thing for me is like, I wanted to be able to, I don't know whether popsicle sticks or whatever, but be able to build like structures. I always wanted to try to do that, you know, get into that, but I never did. Because that'd be fun to do.
So, like, how do you make these scenes from, like, because I know people say that they make stuff from, like, scale. So do you, like, How does that work? Because that's
I
always
use
kind of
the figures as the scale.
Okay, and then
So
you
it's
build everything based on that?
Right.
Just by like looking at pictures and do you like measure? Or do you just kind of like estimate? Or
Yeah,
what do
once
you...
I get started, I have to measure, make sure
That's crazy.
everything else is in scale to itself. It's not going to be 100% accurate to what's on screen.
Yeah.
But then one of the things I found out that there's a whole collector and customizer world out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And there are people who do much better than what I can do. But I've actually had people comment and ask me for what we call recipes.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on my collector site.
That's so
what
cool.
figures I use, what parts, so someone else wants, because I don't want to sell my stuff.
Didn't you get offered a lot for some of your stuff?
I've been I've never been given a monetary, but people have asked, can I buy that? I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a true fan.
But there are people out here who do. I'm like, well, this person does, check with them. But and everyone's got their own little niche.
Yeah.
Because I like aliens and I like droids.
Okay.
But you got people who like Ewoks. You got people who like Imperial stuff and Rebel stuff. And so and if you go to any of these like Celebration, Star Wars Celebration, and Disney World, and some other places, they'll actually have diorama builders there to build something immense.
That's crazy.
Like one time they did the entire Ewok village. Another time they did the entire Mos Eisley spaceport. I mean, and it's good.
That's insane.
I've even seen one. If I could do it, I would. Did a 2-scale Jawa sandcrawler.
Wow.
Which was like, to scale to the figures, is like this tall.
Yeah.
Right? Like this wide.
Dang.
And it was so detailed.
That's crazy.
And then there was another person who was making the Java sandbar or sail barge. Well, then they came out with the sail barge. So I was like, well, I don't have to make that now. I bought it. It was a really sweet piece, too. Yeah, because I was like, this is perfect. So I'm not going to worry about building that now.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And I can't be.
Is there a list of things? Sorry, is there a list of characters or a list of things that aren't made yet that people go on to request? How's that done?
Oh yeah, people keep a list of the characters they want. I have my list.
Yeah.
Of like the characters I would like for them to make.
Yeah.
And actually, most of them have been made. Most of them. There's very few, at least of the aliens.
So they're named. So even the ones that's on the screen in the back for like 2.5 seconds, they have a name.
Yeah.
How do you find that?
Now, what's interesting is, like, for example, Return of the Jedi, each of the alien characters had their names given to them by the stage people just so as a reference.
Yeah.
A lot of them were just kind of out of humor, like Yak Face and Squid Head. Well, those became the actual names for the action figures.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, then as the novelizations came out and the comic books, and they started writing backstories for this, gray blob over here, and this, then they gave them other names, and those names have been the ones that generally have stuck.
Yeah.
And so, you can, and so pretty much everything's been named at some point in all of these movies.
That's insane.
See, I wouldn't be able to find that. Like, I wouldn't Google what is the one in the back scene, back right corner. Like, you know what I mean? How would you?
At 1 hour and 15 minutes into this movie.
Well, you can actually Google just like, Star Wars aliens.
Yeah.
And you'll find websites that'll just show pictures and names.
How many?
Someone's cataloged it all.
How many Star Wars aliens figures have they released? Like, do you know?
Not offhand. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
If you can count, all the movies and because it's not just movies. They did, comic book characters. They've done, video game characters, and so there's
Christmas special.
Yeah.
But
the notorious Christmas special.
Even when they remastered the first three, or not the first three, but the other three, they added
alien characters, right?
Aliens to make it more.
Yeah.
So,
and it's an interesting hobby, and I don't read all their comments because there are some people who are really cranky, because they're like, well, this sculpt of Luke doesn't look as real, and they didn't get his hair right, and I'm just like,
whatever. That's so cool.
But that's the thing, you get in a comic and stuff like that. You have different artists and illustrators and writers throughout the years. They're always going to have their. I mean, I've noticed that with Batman. I mean, you can't say this is the one. You know, it's always
Now I will have to say too, as Star Wars fans, I think all Star Wars fans believe and know. No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But with the collector community, what's interesting is for the customizers like me, it's like total respect no matter what you do.
That's so cool.
It really is.
That's
it's
so
like,
cool.
because there's a lot of people that hate the Ewoks,
Yeah.
But if you make an Ewok, they're like, that's so cool.
I love that movie when I was a kid.
I did too. I love the Ewoks. But
did you like the Ewok movie? Did you ever watch that?
I was a kid, so
when
I
was a kid, I liked it. When I was an adult,
I haven't. All I have is childhood memories. I have not watched it as an adult, so I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a little different as an adult.
So for like, obviously you have like characters based off the movies, and then like even characters based on like the Clone Wars cartoon. Do those models each look like they did in the show? Like
pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Now you had some different variations where, because the Clone Wars had a certain animation, the figures were sculpted like the animated
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
But now they also have the realistic versions of all those characters.
That's cool.
too.
That's really cool. So I know we were going to go around and say favorite Star Wars character, but I want to know, what's your favorite Star Wars alien? What's your favorite droid?
Ooh, that one's a hard
And then just overall, what's your favorite
because
character?
I'm a big alien and droid guy, so I love all of them. And anytime, I mean, you just take the little astromech droids. I've got like 100 of those. Plus some that I've painted myself. Oh, okay, so Return of the Jedi. I have to go Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
It separates Star Wars, New Hope, and Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, probably my favorite alien is Squidhead.
Squidhead. I'm going to look that up.
I love that because they made an action figure out of it. And I've always liked, just kind of a little side of me, I've always liked ocean life. So, because I've liked ocean life and I like bizarre characters in the ocean, and then they made this character that basically has a squid for a head.
That's so cool.
And it was a really cool figure because it had cloth out in a cloth outfit.
Yeah.
But there's so many characters in Jabba's palace. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And it really is hard to decide. But yeah, overall, I'd say Squidhead. But in the cantina scene, I also really liked Hammerhead.
Okay.
And they've got newer names now, but I always call them, because it's easier than saying Tessic and
more descriptive.
Mama Madon and all this weird stuff, But the Hammerhead character, which I always thought was really...
Yeah.
I recognize him.
The more bizarre the character looks, I really like. Now, as far as droids go...
See, I couldn't remember droids.
There's so many different ones. I always liked
all numbers
the medical droids from Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Yeah, 2-1B, who was he's blue, and he had a clear chest, and he had a kind of a mouth with a hose thing. And then you had FX7, which was a little harder to see, but he had kind of just a tall, cylindrical droid with all these different arms and appendages and stuff.
That's so cool.
I also liked the power droid. The boxes with legs.
Oh, yeah.
Go around, gonk, gonk, gonk.
Yeah, look like a trash can.
Yeah, look like a trash can. Yeah. And it's because those were they made figures out of those too, and those were just some of the coolest looking characters, So everyone's like, "Do you want Luke figure?
What were those actually designed for? Like, what was supposed to be the purpose for those ones?
For those particular droids, the power they literally were walking batteries.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that is cool.
It's crazy that they have all those, the detail.
Yeah.
Man, that's insane. Okay, then overall, what would you say your favorite Star Wars character of all time? That's probably hard for you.
I mean, probably I would have to say Luke.
Okay,
because growing up with Luke Skywalker and just I liked Han, I liked Leia and everything, but they didn't really demonstrate any supernatural powers.
Yeah.
I liked Luke because I was like, I just wish I could move something, with my mind.
Yeah.
I'm still the guy that walks through an automatic door.
Yes.
that's sometimes, because I'm a nerd.
That's cool.
But yeah, and so I'd have to say Luke as far as like the main characters.
What do you think of what they did with Luke in the most recent movies?
See, now that's going to start a discussion.
Yeah. Let's just go for it.
I wouldn't say
that's debatable.
that I was like super, happy about it, but I can understand the direction they took his character.
Okay, yeah.
Because when you look at real life, sadly, a lot of people who are very hopeful and optimistic when they're young, and they get out and hit the real world, and they face disappointment after disappointment, they can get to be very bitter and just disillusioned. And so, as from a storytelling standpoint, I could see flipping the script to make the story more interesting. And it was actually Rey who kind of had to help Luke get out of that thing. And I really thought I actually just watched the sequels this past week.
Okay.
Again.
I saw you watching them. You posted something.
So it was interesting when Yoda's ghost appeared to him.
Yeah.
When he was I'm just going to burn it down and everything.
Yeah.
I did think it was a good lesson when Yoda said, when I told you, back in Return of the Jedi, when I told you pass on what you learned, I didn't just mean your successes.
Yeah.
I meant to pass on your failures.
Yeah.
All these things that you met. And that's true in life. As teachers,
for sure,
ministers, you don't just share everything you did right.
Yeah.
One of the things I've benefited the most from the pastors and teachers I listen to is when they share their failures.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I'm like, boy, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's failed. So I understand that a lot of people, and I agree, I would have loved to see more action with Luke.
For
all
sure.
that.
Yeah,
absolutely. But
I think that was probably the biggest.
That was one of the things.
That's the biggest thing for me. I was hoping for like Obi-Wan Kenobi type. Maybe even he exits the first movie, but he is that passing the baton type person,
right?
Yeah,
and it wasn't like that. So that's
and what was that one line Luke said to Rey? What do you think I was going to come in with a laser sword and fight? Yes, yes, we want you to do that. Please do that.
Well, even if he didn't have a battle scene, just that passing of the baton,
for sure.
That because I think that's an important part of a good story.
Yeah. But at the same time, I do definitely respect, especially what after you said about it. I definitely do respect the direction they took.
You made it actually sound okay.
Yeah.
I have a little bit more respect after what you shared. I was like, well, okay. But I still hate it.
But if you take the prequels, which I'm not a big fan of the prequels.
No, me neither.
But you do see the Jedi were kind of jerks.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you have seen any of the not the behind the scenes, the edited scenes from the newer movies, the stuff that got cut out.
Okay.
There's a scene where Luke tells Rey she sees this like fire out in the distance over one of the villages. And he says, well, there's a raiding party going on. They come every month to raid the village. And he says, now true Jedi wouldn't act. They would let it happen because their role is to just maintain balance.
Wow.
And if they go in there and help, the next time the people are going to come back with even stronger force and do even more damage.
Yeah.
And you're going to be here next month.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could see that, but I got to see his point saying, a true hero should go and do it and try and help someone. Now, the funny thing is she goes. She's like, I don't care, I'm going. And she like busts in with her lightsaber, and here they're having this big party. And Luke had tricked her. And like Chewbacca's sitting there, and R2-D2, and they're all just like partying and everything. She's like, and like all the little aliens have like these fake lightsabers, and they're waving around. She's like, yay!
I need to watch
she gets
that.
mad at
That's
Luke.
so
She's
cool.
like, I can't believe you did that.
Is that bonus footage?
It's bonus. It's one of those deleted scenes. You can find on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's fun. I don't know that. That's awesome. So Eric, what would you say your favorite?
Right now,
character?
it's Mando. I mean, I could have chose some of the older ones. I really like the original Star Wars, but the Mandalorian. What a great show! And I love that character. I love the fact that I think they've done a great job without you even seeing his face.
Yeah.
To be able to make a character like that and did it come off well? I mean, he not only well, but it comes off really good.
Yeah.
So I think I like that mysterious. Like we're still figuring out a lot of the things about Mandalorians, and like that mystery. I know that Clone Wars probably has shared a lot more details than what we know in the TV show yet, but I'm excited to learn more about that. So I think I like the character. I like the struggle he has with being who he is and living by a code. I like the whole premise.
Yeah, I had to say mine's probably Han Solo.
Yeah.
I remember growing up when I first saw him, I was like, man, he's cool.
Scoundrel.
Yeah. He's just kind of rebellious, really gritty, and I think Harrison Ford's the perfect person to play that kind of person.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine anybody being him.
But I always liked growing up characters that were like very like strictly connected to something. I loved him in the Millennium Falcon. I thought that was so cool. And so yeah, he's probably my favorite.
And Chewbacca, with that friendship that they had.
Yeah. He was just
it's interesting too because that George Lucas had an idea of these characters, but I'm sure there was a lot of influence by other people that made him even greater, right? So I've seen some documentaries like he had an initial idea, like even the music for John Williams, he was just thinking, classical music. Well, John Williams made it his own for the movie. I just think that's interesting. There was a collaboration of a lot of things to bring this together. But it was interesting to see all these, like you're saying, Han Solo being connected to the Millennium Falcon. It was kind of neat because you kind of saw his grittiness, and the Millennium Falcon wasn't the perfect ship.
Exactly. But it was his baby.
It fit his identity.
It was a connection to him, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Adam? Darth Maul.
No.
He is really cool. I almost said that too. As a kid, I think he was definitely the coolest for me.
This. I think I've shared this before, but Darth Maul. I don't want to jump with what Adam was saying, but I do think Darth Maul would have been really, really cool if they just let him live throughout the prequels.
Yeah.
I think he should have been the Darth Vader of the prequels.
Yeah. That would have been cool.
I like always like main characters, and especially when you watch them like Luke, you watch them become that great character they're supposed to be. So I do like Luke, but I mean, to say sustainable, I mean Obi-Wan was really cool. I mean, just it seems to me out of all of them, he was very consistent. I mean, maybe Yoda was really good, but he was. You see him try, you see him give and do his best, and he seemingly failed with Anakin, but he still, I don't know, he was really cool. But I'm curious. I don't know that much about this, but I had a friend who loved Star Wars and read a lot of the books and the canon stuff, and he shared with me that he loves. Oh my gosh!
Come on, Adam, you got this.
It just went out. Sam Jackson.
Mace Windu.
Oh yeah.
Mace.
I blanked. Sorry, Mace Windu, because he was telling me like he just dominates as a Jedi, and he actually formulated his own style and stuff, and he just told me all this stuff I didn't know about, so it made me curious. So I would like to know. I need to learn more about him. But as far as me, let's just stick with Obi-Wan, just being that cool. constant. I like Luke's underdog story type thing.
Are you talking about the Obi-Wan in the prequel movies too, or are you just talking about maybe the original?
I'm trying to. Well, the one, with Ewan McGregor, of course, you see a lot of the action, a lot of him being younger and stuff like that. But even just taking it on as him being older, how his relationship to Luke and how he, kind of protected him, kind of guided him and stuff, and all the way up to, to me, it was consistent. He was always trying to do good, always trying to be there. And I think he was very, very skilled as a Jedi. Take away the fact that he was the longest living one, he kind of lasted, but I don't know, he's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, I also really like Poe Dameron in the newer ones. I thought he was a really cool character. Mainly because I think Oscar Isaac's an incredible actor, but
you got kind of a Han Solo vibe.
Exactly. I think that's why I liked him. But
was that the passing of the torch day?
It's going to be interesting to see what they do next, because now I think they're taking a break from all movies.
From the movies, I think they're going to focus on the TV. Disney Plus stuff.
Okay.
So there is going to be one season, I hear, of Obi-Wan Kenobi. After the events of the prequels, right?
Is Ewan McGregor playing him in that show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
But I hear it's just one season. Now, I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that there'll be multiple seasons.
Maybe they want to test the waters and kind of see how it goes.
Is there any other Star Wars TV shows coming out?
I don't think so, but I saw an article, I didn't read it, but saying they've already signed on for 4 seasons of Mandalorian.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay
Doug, what were your thoughts on The Mandalorian?
Season 2 comes.
You loved it.
When Season 2 comes out, that's going to be our Sunday nights.
Yeah. Let's do it.
That episode where you had the 2 stormtroopers talking to each other.
So good.
Jason Sudeikis and who was the other one?
They're shooting at the can and none of them could hit it. Oh, that was so
I want
funny.
an entire spin-off series just of them being like cops. Kind of like cops, but it's just them two. Because that was so freaking good, and I could see all kinds of just kind of
would be really good.
Comedy
what's
kind of
been
TV
so
shows
amazing,
going on
though,
with
is I've been reading where it's all these other actors in the world who just are Star Wars fans. They're in these movies and shows.
Right.
You don't know it, you don't see them, but they're big fans of it, because that's why I know Jason Sudeikis is one of those Star Troopers because he loves Star Wars and he got to be in it.
Well, that's actually a deleted scene from not Rise of Skywalker. The middle, The Last Jedi.
Okay.
Was Tom Hardy's.
Oh yeah.
It got cut out where they were in an elevator when they were on the Star Destroyer.
Okay.
Remember with the one guy, DJ or whatever, ended up betraying him. But anyway, so they're in disguise. They're on there, and Tom Hardy's character starts talking to Finn.
Yeah.
Because he recognizes him. And he's in like a admiral outfit or something. He's like, "Oh, you got promoted and everything," and he's like slapping him on the behind. All this stuff. It's just so funny.
Yeah.
And apparently, there's 2 stormtroopers behind him that are Prince Harry and Prince William from.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
So
see, it's so cool.
But they cut that one out. And
yeah,
so
but it's so cool to see all these
Yeah.
other people just who are Star Wars fans and
Right.
they get to be a piece
And that's
of
a lot of them. That's how a lot of these actors get in these cameos.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm sure Matt Damon was in there somewhere and Tom Cruise because they're always
Daniel
in
Craig was in one too, right?
That was the Force Awakens. I
Okay,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
what I'd like to see him do is go way back. You know, that's what I always thought was cool about Star Wars. It's actually a long, long time ago. So we're actually watching the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I even think it, you know,
What's
like
it
the
like
old
today?
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
That was a great game. I think it'd be cool to go like thousands of years back and then do stories based off that for movies or even
Right.
TV
See,
shows.
I would just flip. I love in these other ones where everything was at the height of everything.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Jedi. There was a lot of stuff. But going back and seeing, I love it when they talk about the beginnings.
Yeah.
You know, like and it kind of did that with the last ones. You got to go to this old, you know, dark, you know, base that was for the you know the evil Jedis. You know, I mean, just seeing the start of all this and seeing the old Jedi temples and things like that. I remember some of the old games, you had to go to the old Jedi temple.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that because it's the history, it's the starting of it, it's the foundation of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I would flip if they did something like that, like
Yeah.
go back
Yeah.
to the roots of it
Yeah.
all. And
There's a lot of people that hint at that too because of the way they ended Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
With Rey having the yellow
Oh, yeah.
lightsaber. That,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you know this.
I read
color
that, yeah.
lightsabers actually have meaning.
yeah.
But that
What does the yellow one mean?
It was actually for like sentries, for like those who guarded like the temples and things like that. So they're kind of like a guardian
That's cool.
type role. So if you watch like Clone Wars, the Clone Wars animated series, you'll see some of that there.
Okay.
But they're hinting that maybe they're going to try and create a pure type of Jedi.
That's cool.
That, you know, over the years they kind of lost their way, which is why they ended up falling in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what Luke, hints to Rey in the not Force. I always get them confused now.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
That the Jedi lost their way, and that's how Palpatine came to power. Because of their arrogance and their pride, which you can see it in the prequels.
Yeah.
Well, I hope so because I just don't understand why nobody noticed he was there.
Right? Yeah. Right.
The whole time he's right there.
Yeah.
You didn't know it. Gotta feel something.
Yeah.
I gotta feel something.
Exactly.
You were not one with the Force. You did not feel that coming.
Yeah, what was one of the last lines Mace Windu says? I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi. You think? He's just now realizing that, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job, Jedi.
See,
Council.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I've always heard that Samuel Jackson, like, he said, I'll be a Jedi if I can have a purple lightsaber. Is that true?
That is true.
That's so
Yes.
funny.
Yeah, he specifically asked George Lucas if he got a purple one. So, of course, they created a whole meaning behind the purple one, which is, I can't remember all of them.
Yeah.
There's something about he has the ability to kind of subtly draw on the dark side. when he
Oh,
needs to.
really?
Yeah,
See,
and that's why it's like
that's some of the
purple
stuff
or
my
something.
buddy told me about. It's like he was able to almost blur that line between the dark side and the Jedi side, and so that's what allowed him to kind of create his own style and kind of be his own, because it made him almost like really powerful, you know, because he can kind of dance that line a little bit without getting too you know. So I don't know, that fascinated me.
Yeah. See, this is kind of off topic, but I a few years ago started reading through the books, and I started with like I was trying to read them like chronologically, like the order in which they happened, not came out. So I started with a really old one, and I didn't realize, but in that book, the characters were able to, like, some of them had, you know, I might be wrong, had like a specialty way of using the Force. Like there was some using it for music and stuff like that. Is that?
I'd have to look into that. I'm not,
because I remember that blew my mind.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different, like the healing thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So that was first seen in the Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. Yeah.
But now they've even confirmed it in the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Baby Yoda's done that, a couple of different times.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I'd love to see is I'd love to see like Baby Yoda's like home planet if he even has one. I don't think that's ever been shown before or anything like that.
All that stuff's been out there speculating that whole race.
Well, see, that's been a very closely guarded secret with Lucas. Is that he?
Do you think that would ever happen in the TV show?
I don't know. This is what's interesting because Lucas had always insisted, even with Disney, that Yoda was to be this mysterious figure.
Yeah.
You didn't know where he came from. You didn't know his species. You didn't know his home planet and all this, which is another reason why Baby Yoda was so impactful. To even see it. Which the surprise was ruined for me because I didn't get to see the first episode of Mandalorian because I was on vacation. And of course, everyone's posting it on Facebook and everything. Like, Baby Yoda. I'm like, no.
See, I remember watching.
I was so mad.
That's terrible.
I didn't get that. Wow.
Yeah.
I watched that first episode when it came out, and I'm not a crazy big Star Wars guy, but when I saw Baby Yoda for the first time, I just about lost it. I was like, I don't know what this means. I don't know anything.
I don't know, but it's awesome.
It's sick.
Right.
And like, it carried all
That's
the
what
way
I wonder.
through.
I don't know how much we'll know. I'm sure we'll know some, but I'm not sure how much we'll know.
And honestly, I don't want people to make stuff up. If that's what Lucas wanted, I want it to stay that way, even if it means I'm deprived of knowledge, because I don't want somebody else to start making stuff up and then it not be truth.
You can explain too much. And that's my biggest gripe with the prequels is they tried to explain all these little things, and I'm like,
you
don't need this. You totally
we
just
agree on that.
Yeah.
Like the whole explanation of the virgin birth type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Midi-chlorians. I'm like,
you take away, because that is the beauty of a story is if you could leave some mystery, to let me interpret it and kind of get a feel for it. So while we do like to hear some things, you still got to leave some mystery to it to make it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want everything explained, but there are things that, like if they bring him to a family, for him to be taken care of, maybe there are some other ones on a different planet. We still don't know exactly where he came from. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, for real.
I remember, I'll share this real quick, but I remember long time ago, this is where my mind was opened up that there's so much more than this just being a movie. Was Ryan Brown telling me the meanings of all the Padawan collars on their braid.
Oh, really?
Well, that's beyond my knowledge.
Well, it's Ron Brown.
Of course, it's also prequel stuff. So I was like,
I mean, he just dropped a bunch of knowledge. I'm just like, I didn't realize. I mean, I saw the old movies, but like, I didn't realize there's this whole expansive universe, and all these things are all these different meanings. But all the Padawans had the little braid, and the collars were like different stages in their development, and yeah, it's crazy detailed stuff. But.
And when you think about the original Star Wars movie, that no one expected to go anywhere.
Exactly.
It's like even when they were making it, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill were like, "This is the dumbest thing we've ever done." They're like, but it just blew up. It's just
it's imagination. And if you want to be entertained, you need to have your imagination explored. You know what I mean?
Well,
when you start solving everything, giving answers, there's no room of mystery. There's no imagination left to wander.
Well, now that's another key thing that I thought is fascinating is if you watch any of the documentaries, you go back and look at how many pieces were fitting the puzzle, like the music with John Williams, crucial. I mean, the music really helped make the movie. It definitely
carried it for.
Then the post-editing was a key factor because a lot of the things, like when you had the sand people raising their arms like this, they were able to go back and just re-record.
Oh, yeah.
They made a loop, so it made it look like he was doing that when it was just, he didn't even do that.
Oh, really?
Right.
But it was that clever editing that really came in that helped. That's what I think is really neat because, it could have just totally flopped, but there was enough talented people, and this is what makes me think about even ministry and stuff. When you do something really well, and like when we've done really cool dramas in the past, it's a collaborative effort when you get people that are talented to come together, and it's not just your idea anymore. It's a collaborative effort to make something great.
Like lifting somebody up in a coffin when there's no bottom in the coffin, the guy wasn't in there.
Yeah,
you get creative with what you got.
Yeah, exactly. You get creative, and it's with being around talented people that make what you put out, your vision, and it makes it better because it was great imagination that he had to start with, George Lucas. But then he had talented people around him to make it even better. Getting the right people together to make that idea flesh out and come alive.
Because that make like the ones that came out all those years ago. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they did those three because they were the best story to start off with and probably feasible at the time, technology-wise. Yeah. And even that was pushing it, I'm sure. But because of that creativity those people had, they were able to make that happen the way it did.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays we can make that with a couple of keystrokes and they're great. But, I mean, to make that take it to the next level,
Yeah.
Well, there was Star Wars was one of those movies, like I think it's like Lord of the Rings, some of these others, where the special effects technology was invented for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
They were the ones that made groundbreaking, strides in the special effects department. And if you see any of the movies that tried to copy it, I mean, they're so bad. The other movies that came out during the same time trying to be like Star Wars, and they're so bad.
Yeah.
But
because they were like building their own computers and stuff,
right,
specifically for certain things. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And because it was all done practically, the majority of those special effects still hold up today.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I was, most of us are dying for them to release the unspecial edition of the original trilogy without all the computer. Because I've started watching A New Hope last night. I didn't finish it because I had to get up early this morning. But, seeing the computer animated stuff they added is so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad by today's standards. And it's just like, I just want to watch the original version without all this computer added stuff.
I have the first two on VHS that are unedited.
Really?
Yeah, they're original.
I remember getting cold chills when I went back and watched the older ones. At the end, they're all celebrating, and you see Obi-Wan, Force Ghost, you see Yoda, and then you see the young Anakin. To me, that was so cool. I know it was weird because Obi-Wan was all... Well, to me, just because it's kind of like...
they brought them together, but
I
still didn't like it.
I know, but I was blown away. I was like, oh, that's so cool. To be able to add that in and him to see his, I don't know.
The future.
I'm with Doug. I think what they need to do, if they're going to, like they updated it, they should do that every once in a while. Just go in and fix up the stuff that he changed and just take out that Jar Han Solo little scene. I hate that because you can tell.
Which scene is it?
It's just when Jabba the Hutt comes and meets him in the hangar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I didn't like that.
They changed it from being
I remember that.
I liked it at first when they first did it. Back in late 90s. I was in college and I was like, oh, cool. Because I'd seen the unedited scene and the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, because it was Jabba was originally just a regular guy.
What they're going to do is they were going to put over like a stop motion character in A New Hope. And they didn't do that. And since they didn't do that when they came to Return of the Jedi, they just completely redesigned who Jabba
I remember
would
that
be.
scene now,
But then, you have the scene where he walks behind Jabba and he like steps on him. I'm like, no. I know it's Han Solo. I know he's, he's like, but to step on, no, Jabba in Return of the Jedi be like, feed him to the Rancor right now. It's like, you're not going to step on Jabba's tail.
And just how they did it was kind of jarring and stuff. So, we probably better move on to that.
Let's move on.
We're not going to be able to do our last topic, but
we got our Star Wars fix.
Yeah,
I think at this point we can say that probably cut down on Star Wars references in the next few episodes. That was awesome. I learned so much. But now we're going to talk. Last episode we did Romans 1 through 4.
Yep.
And now we're going to do 5 through 7.
The reason why we reserved 7, it wasn't for Adam. It was for Dan.
Because Dan was...
I wanted 8 too.
Adam's a little bitter.
Dan was upset he couldn't pick his favorite verse in Romans.
So who has 5? You have.
I have 5. I have 5:3. So I can go first. So Romans 5 verse 3 to... Where did I go? 5. 3 to 5. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. But I mean, we've all heard that verse. Like it just really shows the beauty behind the reasons why we suffer, because it produces endurance, and that endurance can be used to build us up and make us stronger.
Yeah.
And it also, I kind of going back to what we talked about, Luke kind of teaching people about his mistakes. That's another factor in that, is that our suffering produces things that we can use to help other people. And I think that's a really important thing to notice, because I mean, we all suffer, we all We all go through times in our life where we're just not having a great time, and it's vital for us as Christians to know that there's a reason for that. Like, we're not being forgotten. We're being strengthened through those events that are going on. So, yeah. That's just really powerful. Something that always encourages me if I'm going through a rough patch, that like this is happening for a good reason.
There's a purpose.
There's a purpose before it. Yeah.
I think that makes suffering a lot more manageable. It doesn't make it easy, but
yeah, for sure.
Knowing that going through that suffering, it's a purpose. There's a reason behind it. God's in control of that suffering.
For sure. Yeah. Which, I mean, like, obviously we see a lot of people, like celebrities and stuff, who suffer and just can't make it through it, unfortunately. And I always think of, like, if I didn't have God, and if I didn't know God the way I was, and if I didn't believe, how would I get through some of these suffering in like healthy ways? Because obviously there's purpose behind it. You know that it's not just randomly happening. It's not the universe punishing you. It's God teaching you a lesson through the fact that He can teach you lessons in literally any way. Yeah. So,
or it could even be teaching other people lessons.
Exactly, for sure. Yeah.
You know, and it's allowing you to build your character.
Mm-hmm.
So sure. You know, it could be people seeing you suffer can
help them.
make it an impact on
definitely
them.
And them seeing your reaction to suffering.
Or notice that, but it does.
Absolutely. Who got the next one?
I have chapter 6.
I'm right after you.
Okay.
As long as you don't go overflow into mine.
Okay.
Don't cross the boundary.
All right. So mine is Romans chapter 6, verse 1 through 3. It says, "What shall we say then? Are we to continue sin that grace may abound? By no means. How can we who died to sin still live in it? Do you not know that all of us who have been baptized into Christ were baptized into his death?"
Mm.
So, I think it's an important thing to realize is that, yeah, we're given grace, but I shouldn't abuse it. I shouldn't just go out and just do whatever I want. I live by the rules I see in God's word because I love God and I want to honor him. And also, to the point at the very end of this, I identify with the death of Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm dying out to myself. I'm not putting myself in first place. I'm realizing that the desires that I have, the wants that I have, they're no comparison to what Christ has to offer.
Absolutely.
And so the things that maybe I want sometimes, or the things that I think I need to give those over because Christ is really who I'm living for. I'm living this life now for Christ. That doesn't mean I can't be happy. It doesn't mean that God's not going to bless my life and bring good things to me. But when everything's compared to everything else,
absolutely,
my life is Jesus' life.
Yeah.
I live for him, and that's who I want to pursue. So, again, Paul's talking about the grace we have before this chapter, and then he's saying, don't take advantage of the grace. Don't abuse the grace. You have been given a path forward to be forgiven of your sin and to recognize that when you do sin, you can come and receive forgiveness when you ask God. But don't abuse that.
For sure.
Don't neglect the gift that God has given you and kind of just toss it to the side or not really value it like you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
Go ahead.
Well, mine's really just right after that, verse 4. And mine's very simplistic as why, because I had this underlined for just a really simple reason. But to continue on, it kind of finishes out or just continues on that thought with you is we were therefore buried with him through baptism into death, in order that just as Christ was raised from the dead through the glory of the Father, we too may live a new life. I have that underlined just because I think, so many people, we want to know that, hey, there's a way for us to live a new life.
Yeah.
Some people need that start over. Some people want to get rid of that sin in their life and to be able to have this new life. And this is saying we too may live a new life by, we were therefore buried with him, through the baptism into death, and in order that just as Christ was raised from the dead through the glory of God, through the glory of the Father, because of that and through that we can too have a new life. And I just think that's refreshing. Mine's very simple.
Yeah.
But I think that is just an awesome thing to.
It's not simple at all, man.
Well, I don't have a deeper thing to it. It states it plain, and I can't really go any deeper than what that is because it's very.
It's really powerful to think about that. My life is his.
Yeah.
And I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I I don't want to say this flippantly because I know there's a lot of people that deal with thoughts of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, you are called to give your life up.
Yeah.
But you're giving it to Him.
Exactly, yeah.
And, a lot of people deal with, and I don't want to make light of that at all, but as a Christian, I am called to give my life up. I'm called to surrender everything, my hopes, my dreams, my doubts, everything. I'm called to lay it all because I'm no longer living it for myself. I'm living for Christ now. And so I just think that, we are called to live to something else. We're not our own, I guess, the bigger thing I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Bring us home, Doug.
Bring us home, Doug.
So you just want me to pick something from these chapters? You didn't explain this part to me.
Just pick something.
I knew we forgot something before we started.
And it's so true. I left Doug hanging because I meant to send him the script yesterday, maybe have a conversation today. I forgot to send it yesterday, so he got it this morning, and we really haven't had a chance. And he couldn't see it on his phone.
But having been in full-time ministry for 20 years, I can
He's ready.
pick up the slack.
Why don't you
quick.
just take something in chapter 6 or chapter 7?
You can have the whole Bible.
Yeah. No, don't go chapter 8 because we reserved that for Dan.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right. So actually, I'm going to take the end of chapter 7 here,
Awesome.
which is Paul talking about his own struggles.
Okay.
Let me pull back it. Okay, so he says, starting in verse 14, "For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am of the flesh, sold under sin. For I do not understand my own actions. For I do not do what I want, but the very thing that I hate. Now if I do what I do not want, I agree with the law that it is good. So now it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells within me. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh, for I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. Now if I do what I do not want, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. So I find it to be a law that when I want to do evil, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inner being, but I see in my members another law waging war against the law of my mind and making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members. Wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death? Thanks be to God through Jesus Christ our Lord." So, and that's really the part I wanted to get to the most, but it's the struggle that every Christian has, which is a struggle against sin. And I think sometimes as Christians, a lot of Christians get very naive and they think, well, I've really reached the point where I'm a pretty good person.
I'm at the pinnacle.
I'm almost ready to go into heaven. I'm so good. But I'm
a saint.
Yeah, right. But if the Apostle Paul, who was someone who was far smarter than any of us, far more spiritual than any of us, if he could admit to struggling with sin and temptation and all that, then I think, and this goes back to what I said earlier about being encouraged by other ministers sharing how they have failed, that when we do fail, we should strive not to fail, obviously, and to put sin away, but we know that it's going to happen. But ultimately, while we struggle with sin in this life, we know we await the day when we're going to be in heaven and totally free from its influence. Absolutely. There will no longer be any impure thoughts or temptations or bad feelings or anything. And we await that day when that redemption is finally consummated, when we enter into the presence of God. So I like those passages a lot because I struggle, and anyone who, you go to 1 John, where he says anyone who says they are without sin is a liar.
Absolutely.
And so I think sometimes as leaders too, we have a tendency to want to hide anything that we may struggle with, which increases our burden because the Bible tells us we're supposed to help bear each other's burdens.
Exactly.
So I really
awesome.
like that passage because
Well, I think
encouragement.
I think it's so important, and I'm so glad that he did share that because I think it's so important for us to realize that we're all going to continue to struggle. That
Absolutely.
I'm going to need, and it kind of goes with dying out daily, right? Because I need to realize that I have to die out daily because I will never reach a pinnacle here upon earth. You know, heaven, it will be that pinnacle.
Right.
But until then, I have to be aware. There are going to be days where I'll struggle. There'll be times where I'll be tempted and things like that. So, just thinking about that we got to continue to help each other. And like you said, bear with each other's burdens because none of us are perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's good.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. I love how it all kind of tied back to what Doug said about Luke.
Yeah. We brought the show full circle.
He wasn't afraid to. Well, I guess he was afraid technically to share his failures and stuff, but that's something that we need to do because it's part of why we experience those failures is to teach other people about them and to understand why we've been going through them. So yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks so much,
this
Doug.
was fun.
What a good episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys like Star Wars, this was your episode for sure. And I loved it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks again, Doug, for killing it, especially with your Tasmanian Devil impersonation. Probably my favorite part. But yeah, thank you guys for listening and watching. Peace.
See ya.
Good episode, boys.